What's going on? Today we're going to talk about how to keep your energy up with my boy E. Crizzle E. Shilzo. Today is Monday. No, it's not Monday, but as we guys know, we all spit fire and we spit truth and nothing but the truth.
Pretty sure it is Monday, though.
It is Monday? Oh, shit, it is Monday. I forget what day it is sometimes. Holy shit. When you hustle the muscle all the time, you forget what day it is. You know what I mean? We forgot our second mic today, so bear with us. If you don't hear us that well, it's our fault. But today I want to talk about, how to increase your energy, right? And Eric, you've been actually dealing with this issue, and as you're getting younger and younger and younger and younger and younger. But as you get younger and younger and younger, as your numbers are increasing, does your energy, what happens to your energy levels? Does it get, I mean, personally, I don't feel that energy is being depleted on my end, but I know you've experienced that yourself, so.
It's funny you say that because I've been reading and listening to a lot of research that talks about time and age, and they talk about chronological age, which is obviously, the number associated with your lifetime, but then there's your biological age, which is the processes of your biology and the cell and the cells of your body. And, what I've tried to do, I've struggled as I've gotten chronologically a little bit older, with my energy levels, but I've tried to compensate that by trying to reduce my biological age by doing certain things, diet, nutrition, exercise, all those different aspects. So I feel like recently I've done really well, especially the last week or two, with trying to kind of
you look younger, bro.
Go backwards biologically, but obviously you can't stop the clock. So I do think as you get older, it becomes a little bit harder to have that energy, the vibrance that you have when you're in your 20s or even your teens.
100%. I mean, when did you start seeing that your energy levels started to kind of get a little bit depleted a little bit? What age did you start seeing it start to go instead of going up? I know when you're 18, 19 years old, you're filled with energy a lot of times, right? But what age do you feel for you specific?
I would say my late 20s.
Really?
Is when I first noticed it. I think, there's a lot of factors that go into your life force, your vitality, your energy levels. But I started to notice, small differences. I'd have to change different parts of my lifestyle or my diet to maintain that same level of energy. When I was in college and a teenager, I was really active, very energetic, and maybe my baseline was naturally pretty high, so it's the drop off felt worse. But I'd say late 20s.
Late 20s and
early 30s.
Okay, let me ask you this. So what have you been doing lately to kind of attack this anti-energy? How did you start building up your energy a little bit better? What are some steps?
It's a multifaceted approach. I think, you hear it all the time, but the more I live my life and the more I, experience different things, the more I realize this is true, is your diet and exercise, play a huge role in how you feel and your energy levels. So, if I just had to give some quick advice on specific things I've been doing, 100%. Is I would say, start with the gut, heal your gut.
Wow.
I think
that is true. The gut is the most important part of the body. People think the brain is the brain, but the gut is like the second brain, I hear, or the first brain, right?
There's a lot of aspects of your digestive system that plays a huge role in how you feel and your energy levels, and I've put a huge focus on that. I think you have to be, a little bit wary and cognizant of some of the marketing out there with detox this, detox that. I think detox is kind of thrown out a lot, especially these days. So, don't just buy a product that says detox and think you're going to heal. But, really do a lot of research on what the gut needs, what your digestive system needs to be healthy and function on an optimal level.
Wow.
And then do that. I think maintaining, workout regimen doesn't have to be
100%.
Doesn't have to be necessarily lifting weights, although I do think that weightlifting can increase your energy levels.
100%.
But I would say, if there's one specific thing to focus on for energy, it would be high interval training. High intensity.
That's what I focus on in the gym.
Training.
I focus on I have a 45-minute workout. It could be an hour and a half, 2 hours, but I kind of cram it into 45 minutes, and it kind of gets your heartbeat going, and your body's all pumped up and stuff. And
I think
it's crazy because working out may seem like, oh, wow, you're wasting energy, but in reality, it creates energy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel more energetic on the days that I work out and the days that I don't work out.
And I think even if you were to consolidate that, I mean, for you it works because that's what you do, but even if you were to do 15, 20 minutes, but high intensity, sprinting, or if you're, maybe you don't have good knees, you could do it some other way, but so I haven't really done that much high interval, but I've made up for it with just going to the gym or doing my forms of exercise. So that is a huge thing. I like to go out in nature personally. I think long walks in nature, especially where there might be higher altitude or you have
Yes.
to use your legs a little bit more.
We just went to Cusco and Peru, Cusco, and Peru, Lima, and the altitude is just crazy there, right? It's like 10,000, 20,000 feet in the air, and you just feel different. Like I almost freaking passed out because the change in altitude when I was eating, and I almost fell on the floor. It was crazy, but we had a lot of fun with me, and one of the guys in the team. But it was awesome to see like when you start hanging around mountains and energy, like it's just different types of vibe, different types of energy you get from being around nature. So yeah, nature does help a lot.
Nature, especially like if you're working up, a little bit of a sweat or working up, where your legs or your breath is being needed, I think that definitely helps. Obviously you're going to be tired after a long hike, but you wake up the next day, you feel better. A lot of stuff when it comes to diet and nutrition, I think, everybody's different. I'm not a doctor, obviously. I think you got to play around with it a little bit. But for me, I noticed, I think for most people, when they cut out a lot of the sugars.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
I'm a huge,
Candy crusher?
Candy crusher. It's just, part of my DNA a little bit. My father's always been into, sweets and everything. But I've trained my brain as well as I can to try to cut back on some of that stuff. And what you'll notice is that the more you cut it out, the less desires.
Yeah,
and the less,
that's crazy. Because I used to love candy, like Skittles and all this stuff, and I have no desire because I eat pretty healthy now. I have a meal prep and everything, so it's like I get high amounts of protein, high amounts of carbs, but healthy carbs, right? Not like the sugary carbs, but like not the processed stuff, like grains and rice and maybe like sweet potatoes and asparagus and like I get meatballs and spaghetti, but it's like cucumber spaghetti or zucchini spaghetti, right? So it's like healthy versions of these normal foods that we eat, but it's super healthy, and you feel so much more fuller, and you feel like you have more lasting energy. Like I feel I have more energy now than when you drink a cup of coffee in the morning.
Well, I was going to say, another thing would be don't drink or take caffeine when you don't need it, because you build a tolerance to it and then it doesn't work as strong. It doesn't work as well. So I've started to on weekends, if I'm not forced or if I don't have to be as productive, I try not to take any caffeine because I'm thinking, why not come in Monday if I have caffeine? It'll really make twice the difference. So I'm a believer in kind of the dopamine detox to an extent, where you kind of like,
that is a big one, yeah.
You if you're constantly stimulating your brain all day long with different hits of dopamine, whether it be caffeine or this, that, the other, there's a million things, you desensitize yourself.
It's like the guys that smoke weed all day. After like a couple of months or a couple of years, they don't even feel like they're getting high, or they're sniffing cocaine every single day. They can't get high
Yeah,
anymore.
I give myself a chance to reboot.
Yeah.
Also, I've been doing it a little bit, if I can add a few more.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting.
Fasting is good.
I don't do it.
That's why the Jewish people fast like 4 or 5 times a year during holidays, because it actually helps them. It actually helps the metabolism, helps your brain.
It's kind of like a reboot. I've actually learned recently that fasting can help, dramatically with mental clarity. You're not going to fast all day every day, but doing a quick reboot, maybe once every month or once every couple months, where maybe you don't eat for a day, or you don't eat for a significant portion of the day, or if you do eat, it's more like juicing and just and eat for nutritional value. Don't eat out of
So let me ask you
boredom.
this: for the guys that are out there building their business from morning to night, and they want to get that lasting energy, because a lot of times as you start building your business, you forget to eat healthy, you forget to detox, you forget to go to the gym. Not necessarily you forget, but you kind of prioritize the business versus prioritizing your health. So how would you recommend someone to kind of like balance that out, and what would you recommend them to do to kind of stay focused on taking care of themselves while they're building their business? Because it's not easy, and you've been able to balance that out a little bit.
I mean, the balance is always hard, right? I think that sometimes you have to do things in spurts. It's challenging for me. I know you've probably have created a lot more consistency with a lot of your habits than I have. I'm more of kind of like a all in,
All out.
all in, all out, all in, all out, which isn't always effective. But obviously, routine is important. Trying to do the same things for certain days, certain amount of days in a row, so it can become a habit.
Kind of like a system in place. That's what
system.
it is. A system is perfect. Yeah.
I think that helps to create balance with work and life, because you kind of know what you're supposed to do at
100%.
certain times. I would say, a lot of people say you have to wake up at the crack of dawn. I know you wake up super early, but
I mean, not necessarily. I don't wake up
Um,
early all the time. Like, it depends. Like, for example, today I woke up at 7:30. It wasn't like
Yeah,
I woke up early, but I think it's having a system, the routine, the habit of like knowing what to do and kind of game planning your days out versus having the day plan you, right? If you don't plan your day out, your day's gonna plan you.
I think that yes, and I think the point that I was going to make is you don't have to, in my opinion, wake up at 4 or 5 every day to
Yeah.
be successful, but give yourself enough time in the morning to get some of those things done. Like I make now juices, and I make different concoctions of different nutritional, supplements and natural food things, and I need a little time to do that. in the
Nasty
morning.
things, by the way. I see them bring it
Nasty
to the office
things.
sometimes.
Blue,
It looks
green, pink, red,
disgusting.
black.
And it looks.
Even.
It looks. I don't know what you put in there. It's like mixing a bunch of.
But
Probably has a hairy gerbil
I'm
that's in
not
there too.
one to just mix, random all types of, synthetic supplements. These are all natural, organic, food-based supplements.
So don't
But
panic.
Don't panic. It's organic. But I like to make some of my concoctions in the morning. So number one, they're done. But number two, I can start my day like that. And I've been fasting in the morning, like I haven't eaten yet at all. Not
You
even.
still haven't eaten it yet.
Well, I had one bite of your
Yeah.
chicken, but I had juices this morning.
Do you feel tired right now? You feel good.
Oh, I mean, I'm starting to get a little hungry, but
A little hungry.
I'm
Okay.
not
See, he's
tired.
human. He's human.
Um,
So let me ask you this: when it comes to like keeping your energy levels, I mean, what is it that young guys can start doing early on to prevent themselves? Like, what can they do early on when they're building their businesses, so that later on when they want to build their business, it's not going to affect it? Because what I've seen affect a lot of people when they're building their business is their personal life. Right? It's not necessarily like they don't know what to do. Like a lot of people know what to do when it comes to business. They just get their life in the way of what they need to do. So, for example, energy, huge problem. If your energy is low, how are you going to perform in a day?
So
You know what I mean?
you need to have, in my opinion, one day, let's call it Sunday, where you prepare yourself, where you get everything that you need that's going to set you up for a high energy week to be, more accessible. So maybe you have to get, meal preps done, or maybe you use that day for, really getting a lot of your exercise in. Obviously, you're not going to squeeze it all into one day, but if you can get, one solid day of good exercise that at least, helps you, to start your week off strong. So I would say number one is start carving out, making sure that you have at least one day. Most people will
One
use
day to
Sundays,
focus on
but
yourself and get
one
stuff
day to
done.
focus on yourself.
That's important.
I would also say, this might be a contradiction to a lot of advice, but pace yourself to a degree. I don't mean take it slow, but don't try to chew more, don't fill your plate more than you can.
Don't jump the process. Let time take its place.
Yeah, I think, a lot of times where I get into trouble sometimes is I try to put too much on my plate because I'm like, oh, I'm going to change my life. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And it ends up being overwhelming. So just start with one thing, I started with my gut. I didn't worry about, one of the things I wanted to do was do a cleanse, like a detox cleanse of heavy metals. So do a lot of chelation where you're kind of cleansing out heavy metals, but I haven't even started that yet because I've been focusing on other aspects. If I try to do it all at once, my body's going to react too strongly, or I'm going to feel overwhelmed. So just take one thing at a time and then layer it. So if you're starting a business, don't try to be the best at everything. You're not going to be you're not going to be a bodybuilder and a nutritionist and a successful entrepreneur and a great salesperson.
That's what I learned.
And a team builder.
I learned a long time ago. It's better to hire people for things that you're not good at. For example, like I don't cook. I mean, people make, oh, you don't know how to
That's
cook.
another thing. Outsource some of those.
I outsource that. I literally have a cleaning lady. I have a chef that cooks for me. It's called mealprep.com, whatever you want to call it. You can find a million of them out there. They create great meal. I literally have to not worry about anything. Like my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner, my snack, it's all taken care of. So that literally eliminates 2 hours of thinking every single day. Because before, I used to run around like a chicken with no head, hoping that my fiance will cook for me, my friend will cook for me, I will go to the store, I will go order on Uber Eats. It's just a headache to think about, especially when you're hungry. Usually when you're hungry is when you're what? You're like, you're frantic because now you got to think about ordering the food. It takes another hour. You can't focus. So I was like, you know what? Let me just pay somebody to get it done. And it's crazy because every time I've had a cleaning person, or anytime I had outsourced work, or anytime I had a meal prep, like anytime I had anything done where I used money to buy myself the time, my life got better. And it gave me more time to focus on the business.
In one of your previous videos, you said, instead of worrying so much about expenses, focus more on your income.
Income producing activities, 100%.
So, I think if you're a new business owner, obviously you're not going to throw all your money into outsourcing everything, but the things that that are just time consuming, but are going to make you feel better. Like my mom
100%.
always told me, and I believe it to this day, is, it's okay to spend money on healthy food. Like I always say, if you think it's expensive to eat healthy, try eating unhealthy.
100%.
You're going to miss work. You're going to be in the dot.
You want to hear something crazy? There's people that say, "Oh, I'm saving money by buying a can of soda every single day because soda is cheap, right? Instead of buying expensive, water or whatever." As an example, but drinking all these sodas and stuff, what happens is your teeth get decayed, and you have a $20,000, dentist bill in 10 years. So how much money did you actually really save? You didn't really save much. But a lot of people make poor decisions short term, and it affects them long term. And that's why it's important that when it comes to energy, for me at least, I'm a very energetic person. The reason why I'm so energetic is because I believe that energy is not created or destroyed. Energy comes from out there, from the universe. There's a lot of energy everywhere. You just have to be the vessel that can capture that attention and have, not attention, but capture that energy, so to say, and have that energy flow through you, and instead of bouncing off of you. Because a lot of people repel the energy around them, and they feel depleted. I let energy go through me, and then it kind of lifts me up, and I'm always feeling pumped up because energy is all over us. Like, there's energy in this phone right now. There's energy in the electricity. There's energy in this camera. There's energy in this microphone. There's energy in you as a human being. And sometimes you got to stay away from certain people because they fucking are energy draggers. And you got to be around people that kind of lift you up in energy as well. Because being around certain people, I can tell you this one thing. If I'm around the right people, I get energetic. If I'm around the wrong people, it slows me down. And when I feel like I'm getting slowed down, I got to drop that motherfucker because I'm like, I got to go. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever felt like that or no?
Does your
Like,
pets have good energy?
My pets have good energy. My pet Copper, he good boy, right?
You said something that you kind of corrected yourself, but I think it's true. Is you said instead of taking in the energy, you take in the intention. But I think that energy does carry intention. I think that everything has some force, some intention or force or reason behind it that you're taking in, and it's your job to either accept that intention or change it or redirect it.
Yeah, because energy is looking for a place to go through. It's looking for places and people to go through, and just because it's not created or destroyed, right? So it's trying to find its avenue, it's trying to find its path. And if you're like a rock and not letting it go through, it's going to deflect and go to someone else.
I've also there was a book I read a while ago. I forget the name of the author, but he talks about how water holds different intentions, and if you were to freeze that water, depending on its previous surroundings or environment, it forms different types of crystal structures.
Interesting.
And so, you can get far down that, but it went as far as to say, like, putting, I know this sounds a little bit hocus pocus, but just as an extreme example, if you put a bottle of water in front of the word hate or evil,
and then
you crystallize that water, it holds a different form than if you put it in
100%. As a matter of fact, there was a study where they had different plants and they were putting like demonic music and like hateful music and negative words and all this bad stuff on the plant. And they had another room where there was a plants were getting happy music and positive music. And it's crazy. The negative music killed those plants after a couple of days. It was crazy to study. And the positive plants with the positive music were growing faster than ever. It's crazy because energy in everything. Energy in music, energy in your food, energy in the people. Like, how many of you guys have ate food before? And you might maybe relate. You eat the food and you know for a fact that person that made it did not put love into it. Like, you could taste that energy. Like, I know when my fiance and my mom, when they cook food, I can tell if it was made out of love or made out of force. Because when it tastes so freaking goddamn good, they put their heart into it. And their heart is their energy. You know what I mean? So you could feel it. You could taste it.
Just a random thing, speaking of energy, I read this also the other day. I thought it was interesting that, a lot of people say that we are like harvesting, plants. And, obviously we plant. Nature obviously grows plants. But the quote basically said that plants are technically harvesting humans because they're feeding us oxygen so we can eventually die and decompose and then eat us to fuel themselves.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, that's an interesting point.
It's a flip perspective on that.
Just to quickly get back to your last question, and maybe we can end off or summarize on this. For someone who's starting a business is already a business owner, either struggling with energy or wants to improve, get to know your body. I think there's a lot of marketing out there that talks about energy and detox, and I'd question it before anything else, because every person is different. Do a little bit of experimentation, see what your body needs. One thing we didn't talk about, which can be another whole topic, is proper rest and good sleep.
I mean, you're looking at it more from the biological standpoint, and that's powerful. I'm looking at it more when it comes to energy, more of a mental standpoint. I believe that energy comes from how you deal with it in your brain. Because think of a very depressing moment in your life. Like, it just drains the energy out of you. Like, think of death. Think of something that bad happens to you. You just feel like, depressed, and you get more tired. But think about happy moments. Think about waking up doing golf tomorrow at 5 in the morning. Like me and you can go golfing tomorrow. All of a sudden, I'm ready. So it's a lot of it is our thoughts, I believe. Like you're coming from more of a biological standpoint, which is important as well. Listen, the gut, the body, the resting, like all that is important in unison with the mentality and the mindset, right? Because those two together, I mean, makes you a better human. Like I obviously,
if you're excited, you're gonna generate energy.
Yeah, 100%. And by the way, when you're running a business, if you look at the most successful business owners, they have good energy. Like Elon Musk, as introverted as he is, he has amazing energy. He's amazing. Like I love his energy. Steve Jobs had amazing energy. Like you look at all these successful entrepreneurs, these billionaires, they got great energy and they protect their energy at all costs. That's why you can't get in touch with all of them because they're trying to protect themselves because they know that if they get around a certain type of person or a certain type of activity, it can drain them down. So to kind of put it in perspective, energy is important. As a business owner, as a sales rep, as a manager, as a whatever it is that you're doing, you need to have energy. Because the second you have no energy, guess what happens? You're dead, right? And the plants start decomposing you and using you as energy. Anyway, so I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. If you guys love seeing my boy E Moneybags, E Crizzle, E Shizzle, E Dizzle, E Wizzle, do me a favor, comment down below, like down below, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you guys in the next video.
And go out there and pet some cats today.
No cats.
No kitties.